with all the talk about free agency and teams trying to recruit Caitlin Clark, and you're seeing like Natasha Cloud, her trying to, and her and Sophie Cunningham trying to do whatever the hell they can to get her to Phoenix. We've seen obviously Joe Tsai not so subtle hints that he wants Caitlin Clark to go to New York. They've been trying to get her there. Heck, every single team would take her as probably their number one option, except maybe you just don't know with maybe Indiana. Maybe Indiana might actually get rid of her. But before we get on to things, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are at 24,500 subscribers. We could hit 24,600 by the end of the day. That'd be incredible. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about the perfect players for that the Fever really need to build around Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston. And I'm just going to be talking about like not even specific players. I don't even know specific players. And this is the players that long term you've got to get. And there is a trait that every player with this trait will succeed with Caitlin Clark. And it is if you have a motor that matches Caitlin Clark. We have seen it. We saw it yesterday with Alicia Gray. We saw her motor. We saw it with Angel Reese. Angel Reese has a motor that is, again, like higher than any WNBA player at her position. Like it is almost Caitlin Clark level, her motor. So you want players like that. And you've got to, whoever is the scouting department, you cannot scout like you are a female basketball scout. You have got to scout like this is an NBA team because you've got an NBA point guard, which is the craziest part about it. You have got your prime Lonzo Ball. You have got your NBA point guard. And again, she is going to put up 20 and 10 for a season very soon. You just find runners. And that is the reason why a lot of people are like, oh, Anissa Morrow, they need someone to shoot. At the end of the day, if you can just cut to the basket hard, she'll find you. You can kind of get away without shooting. As long as, again, they're just high motor players. Like some people are saying like, oh, their best case for free agents is for going for the Sun players because they can't retain them all. I don't know if you can retain Satu. If you can get Satu, take Satu. But I don't like Bree Jones playing beside Leah Boston. I don't like Alyssa Smith. Like, it's not Alyssa Smith. I missed, Jesus, after the whole Alyssa Boston calling Alyssa Thomas Alyssa Smith. Like, but first of all, I don't think Alyssa Smith does not have nearly the motor needed. Temi Fagbenle has a motor, but she is a bench option. She is a bench option. Damiris Dantas, find a way to get off her. Like, this is the team. These are the players that should be still in the team. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Temi Fagbenle, Lexi Hull. If you can get off every other player on this team, get off them. Because you can even see with the All-Star game how well they played with one practice. If you can get a proper coach and a team that just goes and runs, but you need defenders. You need people that will hide weaknesses of certain players. And because there's going to be one player on the floor Caitlin Clark can guard on every other team. I actually think when it comes to Kelsey Mitchell, I think she could fit. And it's like, look, you give her a 1-year deal. You probably look to replace her in 2026 when everyone becomes a free agent. But at the end of the day, with the way some of the CBAs are, with the player power, especially the player power of a Caitlin Clark, I know she wants to be in Indiana because, like, obviously her boyfriend's working for the Pacers. That could change. That could change very soon. It's a 4-year rookie deal. She could be gone very quickly. If she's not winning and your franchise is terrible, you can even see body language. Anytime Christy Sides talking to Caitlin Clark, she looks away. Anytime Cheryl Miller was talking to Caitlin Clark, she was like soaking everything up. You can tell when a person, like even with Lisa Bluter, like as much as occasionally Caitlin Clark would look away, she looked like she didn't have good body language with Lisa Bluter. And that happened quite a bit. Like, look, her body language at times isn't great. It's not every single time like it is with Christy Sides. Not every time, every game like it is with Christy Sides. It is you have not seen the two of them talk in a game where Caitlin Clark is looking at Christy Sides. Like, she's just not the right coach. But the fact is they might do all right this year and people are going to be hyping it up. Christy Sides is terrible. But you need to find these players in the draft. And sometimes these high motor players are not even at the highest colleges. We saw what Kate Martin, Gabby Marshall, Sydney Fulter, like these players, like just purely, especially a Fulter, her motor is why she scored. Hannah Stuelke is a track athlete more than she's a basketball player. She just runs up and down. She just runs, and Caitlin Clark got her 40 points in a game last year. That's all you need. All you need is just a run. Turn basketball into a track meet. No team will keep up with it in this league. Do whatever the hell you can to get Anissa Morrow next year. If you can't get Anissa Morrow, do whatever you can to get Dominique Malonga. At that 7th pick, or let's just say you get the 7th pick, take Raven Johnson. Raven Johnson will lock up and run. And you send a scout to Europe. You don't look in the free agency market. If you are in free agency and you don't have your team sorted, or you can't find these free agents, don't throw a max at Katie Lou. So don't make that mistake again. Don't start throwing money at free agents that don't fit. If you can't get Neka, if you can't get Satu, if you can't get Sophie Cunningham, or heck, you probably don't want Carrington, but if you can't get these high motor players in free agency, because there's not that many of them in the WNBA. There's not that many players in the WNBA that will really succeed that are free agents right now with Caitlin Clark. Next year, it is what it is. You can bring in a lot of players. But this year, go to Europe. Look at these leagues and just find athletes. You don't need to find players with in the Demiris Dantas role who are good out of the high-low and have good hands and can play with their back to the basket. No, you've got Aaliyah Boston to do that. You don't need another Aaliyah Boston. You don't need a worse Aaliyah Boston. You've got one. And you've got a great backup in Temi. Turn it into a track meet. Make this Iowa on steroids. Go out with a team of freak athletes that aren't all 6 foot and smaller like Iowa. Iowa's tallest player was 6. Iowa had one player above 6 foot in their starting lineup, and they nearly won a national championship. That style of play, if you can surround actual better athletes with the motors of an Affolter, of a Gabby Marshall, of a Kate Martin, because obviously you're not going to be able to get Angel Reese. Angel Reese would be the perfect player. She would be the absolute perfect player, but you're not going to be able to get Angel Reese. You're not going to be able to get, and you're probably not going to be able to get Alicia Gray, maybe in 2026, some players like that. But I'm looking around the league. There is a severe lack of them. And you know what happens if there's a severe lack of people with that motor? It means that if you can create that team, no one's going to be able to guard you. No, genuinely, no one will be. Kennedy Carter has a quite similar motor, but again, she kind of tires out. She moves too fast. You're not going to obviously get Kennedy Carter. You probably don't want Kennedy Carter. But if you can surround Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, ideally, you want someone that can shoot and run, but with just runners. If you just surround those two players, because Aaliyah Boston doesn't have the highest motor, but she has an IQ to make up for it. You just need to surround them with athletic defenders who will run up and down faster than the other team. And over the course of a 40-minute game, you are going to win more often than not. Because you saw Team USA couldn't keep up with the All-Stars, especially when Caitlin Clark was on the floor. Other than the Arike hot spell, they were 100 times better with Caitlin Clark on the floor than off the floor. And look, you can keep Kelsey Mitchell. That gives you one max slot. If you lose Katie Lou in the expansion draft, you probably hope that you do. You can fill out that team. You can look after the team. You can see what free agents there are, and you can do whatever the hell you can to just find players that fit. This is not a 1-year thing. This is a 2-3 year thing. This, for Caitlin Clark, is about finding athletes around her. Because Caitlin Clark, ironically, is not the fastest player in the world. But she plays with a motor that, again, is only matched by one WNBA player, and it's Angel Reese. The two of them play at a level where they play the sport differently to everybody else. Every time there's a ball there, you expect Angel Reese to get it. Anytime there's something to be seen, you expect Caitlin Clark to get it. Like a pass, you expect Caitlin Clark to make it. They're playing a different sport. And these young players coming through are playing a different sport to what the WNBA players have played. And that is what a good GM would do. I don't think Lynn Dunn's a good GM. But if she was a good GM, she would hire NBA type scouting. Screw WNBA, screw all of this. If this is owner, the Indiana Fever is serious, you hire scouts. You hire a scout to travel the world and look for these players. Because motor is more important than skill right now when you're trying to surround players with Caitlin Clark.